in 1930s, there was a Great Depression. So the President Herbert Hoover started a tariff war, and then it led to the Great Depression. And same thing is happening right now. So Donald Trump is starting a tariff war against the whole world, and scale dwarfs the original Great Depression. So compared to what Donald Trump is doing right now, at that time the tariff was not comprehensive. It was like limited to agriculture sector. But right now Donald Trump is imposing like huge tariffs, like 35% on all the imported Chinese goods. So it's much, much bigger than what Herbert Hoover did. So it could be much worse than the Great Depression. So another Great Depression can happen. So I was worried about the economy, and then I was even thinking if I have to move to slash the mortgage. But I was reminded of a scripture, and then I began to feel peace of mind. So I wanted to share the scripture today. And this verse is very famous. So everybody knows about this verse, but the true meaning of that verse is not known to many. So that verse is, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, then all these things will be added unto you. So when the Christians hear this, they think that if you try to work for his kingdom and try to be holy, then God will provide you with things. That's what they think, but that's not what this verse actually means. So what it means is seeking God's kingdom and his righteousness. That means being born again. But these days Christians believe that if you just believe Jesus, then you're born again. But that's not true. So one of the characteristics of being born again is being holy. So if you're truly born again, then you will experience holy life. So before being born again, you live as a slave to sin. No matter what you do and try, you cannot get out of sinful habits and sinful lifestyle. And that's what I experienced. But if you're born again, then you are no longer a slave to sin. And every day, holy life becomes very normal and easy. So that's being born again. So how do you become born again? In this channel, I explained this many times. So how to be born again is laid out in the parable of vine and the branches. So it says, if he remains in me and I in him, then he will bear much fruit, and those branches will not be thrown out and be burned. So producing many fruits is like the fruits are the actions that come out of you. So producing fruits means producing good actions. So if you remain in Jesus, you will be able to produce good actions. That means you will be able to live holy. And that kind of branches are born again. So this parable is talking about being born again. So if you remain in Jesus, then you will become born again to be able to live holy. And then that kind of branches will not be thrown into the lake of fire. That's what this parable means. So how do you remain in Jesus? So if you let Jesus remain in you, then you remain in Jesus. So you have to invite Jesus into yourself. So how do you do that? So Jesus is Lord. You have to let him sit in the center of you. That means you are no longer the master of your life. You let Jesus be the master of your life. So you let him decide what you do with your life. So you decide to obey him and work for his kingdom. And you decide to live according to his words, his laws. So you decide to live holy. So that's what the parable means. And that verse about seeking God's kingdom and his righteousness first, that means being born again. So that's what this verse means. So if you are born again, then God will care for you. So when you're not born again, God just leaves you alone. Like God just leaves you in your sin, and He doesn't intervene. And when you're born again to become His children, then He cares for you and He starts to train you in your righteousness. And that's what happened to me. So He trains me almost every day with His dreams to be more righteous. So if you become born again, then God will provide you with everything you need to live. So that's what this verse means. So there might be another Great Depression coming, and the only sure way to prepare for it is to be born again, to be God's children. Then because you are working for His kingdom and solely live for His kingdom, then God will provide everything you need. So things like your business might prosper where other businesses are struggling, or your company you work for can prosper. So that kind of things can happen. So there might be a Great Depression and a lot of plagues in the coming end times. So the only sure way to prepare for all that is to be born again. Then God will protect you and provide you with everything so that you can prepare for the end times. By the way, this coming depression might pave the way to usher in the Antichrist. So all these tariff wars and Great Depression might happen because there are a lot of countries in this world. So this world is divided. That's why each country wants to protect their economy. That's why this kind of depression or tariff wars are happening. So people in this world might be very tired of all these wars and tariff wars. So they might be longing for the leader who will unite this world. So I think this Great Depression that might come might condition this world. So everybody will cheer and worship Him who will unite this world and who will make all the problems go away, because there will be a one world government. So in this channel I talked about Jewish boy Nathan, and what he saw was that Barack Obama is Gog and he will attack Israel, and then at that time the Jewish Messiah will appear to save Israel and kill Obama. And I believe that that Jewish Messiah will be the Antichrist. So after this presidential term, Obama might come back into the spotlight again. So I talked about the prophet Tommy Araumi, and what he saw was that in his dream, he saw Obama urging Michelle Obama to run for president. So I thought that might happen in the last presidential election, but it didn't happen. So in the coming election in 4 years, maybe Michelle Obama will run. I know she's reluctant to run for president, but because of all this problem and the Great Depression, she might be obliged to run. So if that happens, Obama will be back in the position of influence again, and then he will attack Israel, and then the Antichrist will appear. So all these puzzles look like they are coming into places for the final Great Tribulation and the end of this world. So there might be a lot of problems, Great Depressions, wars, and Great Tribulation that are coming in the end time. And the only way to prepare for all that is to be born again as a children of God, so that He can protect you and provide you with everything you need to face the end time that is coming. I wish you blessings from the Lord.